The South China Sea has long been one of the world's most contested waterways, rich in fish, potential oil and gas reserves, carrying trillions of dollars worth of global trade each year. At the center of this geopolitical flashpoint lies the Scarborough Shoal, a triangle-shaped atoll about 120 nautical miles from the Philippines coast. Now, for years, this uninhabited reef has been guarded by the Chinese Coast Guard and militia ships, sparking near-daily confrontations with Manila. On August 27th, Australia, Canada, and the Philippines deployed 3 warships and several aircraft for joint drills near the shoal, practicing defensive maneuvers against simulated aerial threats. While the drills concluded without incident, they took place in waters where Chinese Coast Guard and Navy ships are almost constantly present. This drill was not an isolated event. It was part of the largest ever joint exercise between Australia and the Philippines, involving over 3,600 troops in live training, amphibious landings, and air defense operations. Now, the backdrop is China's increasing use of what analysts call grey zone tactics, dangerous maneuvers, water cannon blasts, and swarming fishing boats without triggering open conflict. Just weeks earlier, a Chinese Navy vessel collided with a Chinese Coast Guard ship, while both tried to block a Philippines vessel, highlighting the risk of escalation within Chinese forces. Though Washington was not a part of this drill, the United States looms large in the background. It has questioned China's claim to virtually the entire sea passage, including to Scarborough Shoal. 2 US warships sailed off the shoal earlier in August to promote freedom of navigation and were shadowed by a Chinese Navy ship, but without direct clashes. The Philippines is also America's oldest treaty ally in Asia. Washington has maintained under the Mutual Defense Treaty, any attack on Philippines forces would trigger US defense obligations. Participation of Australia and Canada in military drill with Philippines is both symbolic and practical. While for Canberra, the focus is Indo-Pacific as it views China's maritime assertiveness as a challenge to regional stability, Ottawa has become more active in the Indo-Pacific in recent years, aligning with allies to counterbalance Beijing. Their participation also sends a message that China's expansive claims face pushback not just from the US and Southeast Asia, but from a wider coalition. And for Philippines, these drills are like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. While it shows deterrence that it is not standing alone against China in the South China Sea, internally, Manila also demonstrates to its citizens that Manila is asserting its rights. Still, risks remain. China has previously retaliated with harsher blockades, and escalation at sea could spark a larger confrontation. But what's the bigger picture? The Scarborough Shoal is only one flashpoint in the South China Sea, but it has become emblematic of a much larger struggle. At its heart lies a fundamental question: can international law and collective security deter unilateral claims? In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague ruled that China's sweeping 9-line claims had no legal basis. Beijing rejected the verdict outright, continuing to militarize islands, expand Coast Guard patrols, and deploy maritime militias. This expansionism has produced an unintended consequence: a growing counter-coalition. The Philippines, once wary of leaning too heavily on Washington, has deepened military ties not just with the US, but also with Australia and Japan. But why? For smaller nations in the region like the Philippines, the South China Sea is a lifeline for fishermen and coastal communities. Chinese blockades and water cannon attacks are not abstract geopolitics, they directly impact livelihoods. Economically, the stakes are even higher. Roughly $3 to $5 trillion of trade passes through these waters every year. Energy security also comes into play. The seabed is believed to hold 11 billion barrels of oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. So whoever controls the South China Sea controls both a critical trade artery and potential future energy reserves. And if China successfully entrenches control over Scarborough Shoal without consequence, it could embolden similar tactics elsewhere, from Taiwan's water or even the Himalayan borders. In short, Scarborough Shoal is not just about reefs, rocks, and fishing rights. It is about the rules that will govern the 21st century world order, whether might makes right or whether smaller nations still have a fighting chance.